So when Nancy Pelosi filibustered the bill, the Chinese coronavirus relief bill, stimulus package, she and other Democrats claimed that they had a better proposition, a better plan moving forward. What we saw was that was a complete lie. They didn't have a better plan. They just had another set of winners and losers in their bill. So we're going to go through the 10 craziest things that Nancy Pelosi tried to add to the Chinese coronavirus stimulus package. And yes, as the title suggests, number 6, amazingly, is Obamaphones. But before we get into this, please make sure that you subscribe. We're up to 210 subscribers at the time of recording this. We want to grow that number to 1,000 as fast as possible. So please make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. So let's jump right into the list. So number 1 was in the bill, and we're going to include all the screenshots of the actual legislation here just to show that I'm not lying. So number 10 on the list is $35 million for the Kennedy Center, which is the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts. $35 million to help them pay their staff through this. Now, I understand the need to keep things like this open, but considering that the staff would also qualify for the same kind of proposals that everyone else would if they were to lose their job or be laid off, it seems a little weird to earmark a specific $35 million just for the Kennedy Center. Number 9, this part is talking about aviation fuel efficiency. So this would set money aside to create a program to develop new aviation fuels, and specific part of that program is to determine what the fuel efficiency and what the impact on greenhouse gases would be. So using taxpayer money not to help the American economy, but to try and force a different type of fuel onto the airline industry. So this is number 8. Number 8 would set up these panels, the Congressional COVID-19 Aid Oversight Panel, which would basically require all companies that receive the aid to submit their specific data to the panel for them to see what's going on inside the company. And this is specifically diversity data to look and see how diverse their employees are, to look and see what kind of pay different employees get, if that's based on diversity, and to look overall at diversity within the company. So obviously there's strings attached. Republicans want the economy to grow. We want to save businesses. Democrats want to play the victim blaming, and they want to bring diversity into the mix. Diversity actually is mentioned in Nancy Pelosi's 1,100-page bill 32 times, just to see where she is prioritizing. The next one, this is talking about mandating certain standards for early and mail-in voting in every state. Right now, that's a state issue. States are allowed to decide how they want to deal with early voting. This bill would basically set a mandatory minimum standard and force states to comply with the Democrats' view of early voting, which we know when there are not the proper checks in place, it can be rampant for fraud. The next one, this is actually talking about ballot harvesting, which is a really controversial measure. It's the idea that, so when we all understand that during an election season, there are going to be people who come to your door and are going to say, hey, vote for this candidate, vote for that ballot initiative. What ballot harvesting is that these same people go to your doors, but when there's mail-in ballots sent to everyone, like in a state like Colorado, ballot harvesters will go to the door, say, hey, have you submitted your ballot yet? When someone says no, and they say, oh, are you a registered Democrat? And the person says yes. And then the person at the door says, okay, why don't you fill out the ballot right now, vote for these people, and I'll take it and hand it in for you. So basically, instead of the person handing in the ballot themselves, it's the ballot harvester who's doing that. So that opens up a lot of room for fraud. People can find ballots in the trash and fill it out themselves, scribble a signature, and if someone deems that the signature matches enough, then it's accepted. Or it can actually lead to intimidation, where the people at the door are intimidating people to vote for someone or something that they might not have been inclined to vote for on their own. So ballot harvesting is one of the ways that Democrats are hoping to steal elections, to be able to increase Democrat turnout by sending people door to door to collect the ballots. So the next one, this is number 6 on the list, and this is what is affectionately known as Obamaphones. But Obamaphones were only part of that program. Not only was it giving people phones, but it was also giving them the phone plan, right? The ability to use the phone. This includes provisions for an emergency lifeline broadband benefit, which would take people at certain levels of the poverty line and give them access to broadband service, bringing back the Obama phones. So number 5 is a $20 billion bailout for the postal service. But this actually, I should have included the other part. There's actually 2 parts to this. So first, Nancy Pelosi's bill would relieve $11 billion in debt that the Postal Service has right now. And then in addition to that, set up this payment to the Postal Service Fund of an additional $20 billion. So the problem with that is the Postal Service is not profitable. They don't run a profit. They run in the red every single year. So if you absolve their debt, the $11 billion, and then just give them $20 billion to operate as usual, they're still going to lose money. So to relieve the debt and just to give them $20 billion in funding without fixing what got them into debt in the first place is really just throwing money down the toilet. So this next part, number 4, this is actually really controversial. So this provision in the bill basically says that if you are a foreign worker working in the United States and your work permit is set to expire, and it says within 30 days of enactment of this act, then your worker visa would automatically be extended. It would automatically be extended. So at a time when Americans are looking for work, they're unemployed, now they're being laid off, right? Some estimates say that if we don't get this under control, we could have 30% unemployment. At a time when Congress should be working to help American workers, Nancy Pelosi is slipping a term into her bill that would basically give extra benefits to foreign workers and let them stay in the country longer than they were previously allowed to stay and continue to work and to work instead of Americans filling that job. So this next part is not in the bill, but it's something Democrats are really fighting for. So the Democrats are hoping to add, and this is from the New York Times, this is an article, and basically what Democrats want is they want to make sure that when federal bailout stimulus funds go out, that Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers are eligible. Now, right now, that is not allowed. It's illegal under the Hyde Amendment for the federal government to fund abortion procedures, and thanks to President Trump's Protect Life rule, Respect Life rule, no funding can go to any clinic that performs or refers for abortion. So what this tries to do is what they're trying to do here is to get rid of those provisions to allow federal bailout funds to go to Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers. So this next part is actually even more startling, number 3 on the list, and this is setting aside the $300 million for migration and refugee assistance that's operated by the State Department. Basically, this is saying that the State Department has to continue sending $300 million overseas for foreign refugee and migration assistance. So at a time when Congress should be dealing with Americans, look at the Democrats sending money overseas to help refugees. So here we go. This is now the big one. This is number 1 on our list. And it's the idea that not only would this stimulus package help Americans, but it would also help illegal aliens. So we've long covered the fact that Democrats believe that illegal aliens are pretty much citizens. Joe Biden has said that. Joe Biden says on the campaign trail that illegal aliens are basically citizens already. This is not part of the bill, but this is what Democrats are trying to add to the final package. This, in addition to giving illegal aliens access to stimulus money, this is possibly the most radical proposal that the Democrats have, and this is from the Hill. Basically, what they're trying to do is to have everyone who is in the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, that was Barack Obama's amnesty executive order. If you are part of that program, if you received amnesty by Obama, you're an illegal immigrant, then that would be permanent. It's basically, forget about immigration reform, forget about the proposals, the tit for tat, Republicans working on a deal with Democrats. Democrats want this to be the immigration bill. Instead of working on Americans' problems, helping American families, helping American businesses, they want to slip this in and basically give amnesty right off the bat to between 700,000 and 800,000 illegal aliens. Now, by the way, the Supreme Court has already heard the case dealing with this Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program. When Obama tried to extend that program, DAPA, to their parents, that was ruled unconstitutional by other courts. The Supreme Court has already heard the oral arguments. So any day now, we're going to get that final decision from the Supreme Court. So Democrats are trying to slip this in so that they can make that amnesty program permanent before the Supreme Court rules that it was unconstitutional or illegal. So that's our list of the 10 craziest things that Nancy Pelosi has tried to slip in to the Chinese coronavirus stimulus package. If you think we should have had something else, honestly, it's hard. It's 1,100 pages. By the time we finished reading the 1,100 pages, it had grown to 1,400 pages. So they're still throwing things in. So we'll keep looking to see if we can find anything else. But these are the 10 things that jumped out to us as the craziest. If there's anything you think we should have added, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below. Let us know what you think is the craziest provision. And again, make sure that you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications so we can continue to grow the channel.